Alright, the question for today is, how has farming impacted your life? Simple as that. Just how has, I'm going to ask Noah how being a farmer has impacted his family and whatever he really wants to say about that lifestyle. I'm really interested in hearing that because that's what I'm thinking about going into. More than thinking about it, I'm going into it, unless the Lord does something different. So excited to hear about what he has to say about that and just how farming has shaped him and the types of things that it has done in him and through him. Look forward to it. What you eating there?
Some peas that we just picked.
Oh yeah. Woo! How much would you say that is?
Half a tub's worth, I'm not sure.
There we go. Well said. Well said. All right. Well, here's a question for you. How has farming impacted your life? I know that's a simple, open-ended question, so answers could vary because it's affected a ton of things. But what are some things you want to share with us about that?
Well, I think God definitely can use whatever it is that you do in your life, and I don't want to just say like, oh, farming has this special thing that God can do that He can't do through other things. It really has to do with, if farming is what God's called you to do, then He's going to use that in particular. And but there are some unique things about farming that I think God's used in particular ways to impact my life.
Yeah.
And I know a big part of what attracted me to it in the first place was the lifestyle and being able to be with my kids and work alongside my family, kind of be a team with my wife, on a daily basis, where it's not like I have the things I do and there's her world, and we kind of have to keep in touch with each other. I've done a little bit of work for some other people and had to go off and come back, and it's definitely different than being here and kind of working together. And so I think it's definitely affected my marriage in a positive way. It's also provided the opportunity to get to know my boys and see them growing up in a way that I wouldn't have been able to just in the evenings if I were working elsewhere. The actual, growing the food has been provided a lot of opportunities to connect with people, both like people that supply our feed, people that we, that are just interested in agriculture, other fellow farmers, customers, and build relationships that if I look that's the agriculture is kind of what brings us together, and that God's used to build those relationships. I think in my own life and heart, there's kind of some of the physical aspects, of it that, obviously the exercise is great.
The peas are great.
It's helped me, obviously
maybe a little too much.
Still need to lose a few pounds.
Yeah.
No, but the health, it's a little bit easier to make healthy decisions when you're surrounded by lots of vegetables and you're being active, and there's some benefit there. It definitely, the lifestyle keeps us home a little more, ties us down a little bit more than some jobs would, where we can leave it and go off. But
True.
There's what's more important, I think, is what we try to look at, and we do try to still be more purposeful, trying to be more purposeful at taking times away and taking times for refreshing. But spiritually, you recognize, and I've recognized more my dependence on God because you're dependent whether you have a boss or you work for yourself. But when you work for yourself and you go and you plant seeds in a bed and it looks like dirt, and you're wondering, it really takes some faith at the end of the day to trust that God's going to use that to provide for your family. And as a dad and husband, you kind of feel that responsibility, and God's just kind of had to teach me, you just obey and I'll provide for you. And He's done it not in ways that necessarily make sense addition wise on a balance sheet,
paper.
but at the end of the day, He meets all of our needs, and He does things in my heart that He wouldn't have done if things had been super easy. And there's times I'm like, God, why does things have to be so tight right now, or it doesn't make sense? And God's like, because you wouldn't be listening to me if I wasn't, taking you through this. And farming, it lends itself to that and it has anyways on our farm. And we've seen
Mhm.
beautiful ways that God's worked. And as I look back through the journey of what we've learned, because I didn't grow up farming, I've had to learn kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
I've seen how God's used us and allowed us to continue doing what we're doing despite all our ignorance and despite everything that we're not. And that's why I really tell people, the key to being successful in farming is that's you're doing it out of obedience to God.
Mm.
If it's what He's called you to, He'll work it out. He'll provide for you. He'll use your simple, even obedience that's somewhat ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
He'll still work it out. But if it's not where He wants you to be, fear. That's
Yeah.
you need to be listening
Mm-hmm.
there. But it's definitely been something God's used in our life, and it's a big defining part of our farm and our family right now. Our farm has been, and yet I always try to hold it with an open
Open hand. Yeah.
open fist. I guess there's no such thing as an open fist, but yeah, with an open hand that says, if God told me to do something tomorrow, then my career is Jesus, following Jesus, and wherever He is, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know He would take my heart somewhere
Mhm.
else if He called me there. So I know that's what He's called me to do right now, and I've really
Mhm.
appreciated what all He's done in our life through it. But farming is not where my happiness comes from.
Yeah.
It's not where my joy comes from. God
sure.
can use that because of my obedience in that area, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it only comes from Him.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That's really encouraging for me, just because I am pursuing a career in farming, but even more than that, I want to pursue Jesus. And if that career if that's the direction He would have me go, then I'm gonna pour my heart into
Yeah.
it and learn about it and do the best to grow really healthy food. But that's it's always encouraging to hear that focus. So
Yeah, it's
Cool.
always scary going forward, but you look back and you're like, do I have any reason to doubt God's credibility or trustworthiness? It's just
Yeah.
I'm always scared of how He's going to
Uh-huh.
work it out. It's not
Yeah.
going to be my way, but how arrogant I am to ever think that my way would
Mhm.
be superior to what He has for me.
Yeah.
So just kind of letting that go and letting Him work has been
Mhm.
a real exciting journey.
Cool.
But I still have to do it every day.
Gardens don't just grow veggies; they grow trust and all kinds of
Character
other
and-
stuff. Yes.
Yeah, He can teach a lot of lessons
Mhm.
through that.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Noah.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.